Hey friends, Mario Cavallo here. Welcome to Mr. Ma's China Adventures and Happy New Year 2022 to all of you. In this video, Mr. Ma's China Adventures is going to focus in on a couple of amazing Chinese audio products. For those of you who love to listen to music in good old-fashioned analog stereo, this video is for you. As many of you know, I wear a lot of different hats. I do research on China and the economy and politics, but I also have very strong interest in music, creativity, entertainment. I'm a jazz pianist. And in this video, that's the topic we're going to be focusing on. I want to tell you an extraordinary story of a couple of extraordinary Chinese audio brand products, one of which Santa Claus just delivered to me for this Christmas. And I'll take a moment here real quick. I'll pick up the camera and I'll show them to you a little bit closer. Well, Santa was good to me this year. I guess he thought I was a good boy watching me all year long. Because on my list for many, many years, and that was after a lot of research, on my list to purchase for many, many years was what I knew was to be a superb tube amplifier. If you're going to choose a tube amplifier, there's a lot to think about, and there's a number of really good tube amplifiers out there. There's also some really good, there's good budget amplifiers, good budget tube amplifiers, say below $1,000 or around $1,000 or below. But then there's your next step up, which for me was the category I was looking for, closer to $2,000. Because my attitude was I only want to buy one really good tube amplifier, the one that I don't want to buy another one. I'm not that into comparing them. So I'll mention the brand name now, and that is Cayin, Cayin, and their literally legendary A88T, which is their 45 watt per channel KT88 tube amplifier, which I purchased the reference edition, which is a little bit better in a couple of different ways. We'll talk about that as well. But the other product I want to mention, because this is my front end and they go hand in hand together, and that is the Amari LP10 MK turntable, which is made by Amari down in Guangzhou. There's zero doubt in my mind, so I've yet to be able to prove it, that the Amari LP10 MK is every bit as good as a P3 by that British company. Oh wow, I forgot the name of that other British company, the turntable maker. I'll think of it. So I purchased the Amari 2 years ago, have sold several to the people overseas. They're a superb turntable. I mean, the thing weighs 12 kilograms. The platter alone weighs like 6 pounds. I mean, it's just an incredible, high quality made turntable. And 6 months ago, my friend and I, who was also a customer who purchased one here, and he's in Shanghai, I'm up here in Shenyang, Liaoning province, we both finally, after 2 years, upgraded the cartridges, which is one of the beautiful things about the Amari LP10 MK turntable, is it's got an amazing upgrade path. You can upgrade the cartridge. It already comes with a great preamp, but you can upgrade the preamp. So we finally upgraded the cartridge from an 1895 E, which is a great starter cartridge. It sounded great right out of the box, and I loved it for 2 years. But I upgraded it. I went with the Nagaoka MP110. Make no mistake, the Nagaoka MP110 is a giant upgrade. Even though the 1895E is a great budget cartridge, and audiophiles will tell you that. But when you jump to the MP110, which cost 3 times, the MP110 was 120 bucks, worth every penny. Go out and grab yourself a Nagaoka MP110. So we upgraded, and so now that's what I have. This is my front end, and I got to tell you, it's superb. So let me show it to you real quick again. This is what we're going to talk about, mostly the A10 MK today. Look at this. the A88T. There it is. This is a beautifully, beautifully crafted, quality-wise. You can see here, I've got the reference edition. And what is that all about? The reference edition comes with something that's a higher quality in the transformers in the rear. You can see the word reference on there, even better than the original. And also nice side rosewood finish. And finally, most important, I think, about the upgrade is that you've already got pretty much the best KT88 tubes out there that you might want, which is the Genelex Gold Lion KT88 tubes. So these are a beautiful thing on planet Earth. And pop over here with me to take a quick look at my Amari LP10 MK turntable. Look at that, so beautiful. I currently have the old Herb Alpert and the Tijuana brass, you know, from the 1960s, 50-year-old vinyl. You just can't believe how superb it sounds. There it is with the Nagaoka cartridge, the MP110. Beautiful turntable, pure analog, and finally now, pure, beautiful tube amplifier, pure analog. And for the record, currently, my other CD player broke. This is, some of you might recognize this. This is my wife's Sanyo DVD CD player that came with a subwoofer and speakers. It has the amplifier built in, but it also has an audio out. So I'm using this as the CD player. I want you to know that this is over 20 years old. It's like 30 years old. My wife owned this before she married me, and we've known each other for 17 years. This thing is like 25 years old. And it's amazing. And back then she paid a fortune. Back then she paid a fortune for it, like $300, which is back then. So I want you to understand, don't get me wrong, guys, I know what audiophile is and I know what audiophile isn't. And it's just shocking to understand how good that old cheap Sanyo, it's not Sansui, Sanyo. Can you believe it? How good that old cheap Sansui CD player sounds compared to my other CD player, which is a, expensive, state-of-the-art, purchased brand new, Burr Brown, blah blah blah, and all this tech stuff. Does the other CD player sound better? You can tell it has kind of like a wider dynamic range, and this one sounds a little bit more limited and punchy, if that makes any sense. But I'm not going to say it sounds worse. It doesn't sound worse. It still sounds fabulous. But that's not the topic of this video. The topic of this video is what I experienced when I upgraded the cartridge on the Amari turntable to the MP110, the Nagaoka, and of course when I just finally disconnected what I was using, my Denon, 10-year-old Denon AVR 4308, $2,500 retail, top-of-the-line receiver, AVR receiver, which is no slouch at all in the audio category. And finally got rid of it though, because it's an AV receiver. I wanted my true audiophile piece, and I finally replaced it with the A88T. Well, I just didn't know quite what to expect after so long in terms of the differences, and I have a couple of really shocking things to tell you. So, first of all, the Cayin A88T, you must, if you haven't already, just type in 6 Moons Audio and Cayin A88T into your Google search, and you will come up with the definitive reference article from well over 10 years ago, the review by 6 Moons, which the reviewer basically, it's like a 5-page review hooked up to Gallo speakers which are very expensive. And this guy was comparing the A88T to his Bel Canto. He's an audiophile reviewer of gear that's 5,000, 10,000, the most expensive gear in the world. And he said, "This is the last amplifier that I need. I'm done." In terms of quality of the sound, perfect? No, because there's no such thing, as we all know. It's all a little bit subjective, and that's okay. So if you have an amplifier that sounds fantastic, which I did, my Denon AVR 4308, I mean, my system sounds fantastic. Oh, by the way, I am running JBL 530 stand mount speakers on these beautiful stands. Okay, so I am running what you and I should call the equivalent of $1,000 stand mounts. Okay, that's the same exact quality JBL 530s. If you look at the reviews on these, they're superb. The JBL, they come with a JBL compression driver. They come with a very robust 5.25-inch woofer in a large box and in a very special design. They sound superb. Please watch my other videos on the Amari LP10 MK turntable and the JBL 530 speakers. If you don't know it, even another major reviewer says things like, "Oh, I prefer these to the KEF LS50s." I mean, so the JBL 530s are objectively as good as almost any bookshelf stand mount speaker that you could possibly want. You'll obviously notice a much higher sense of refinement, perhaps in speakers that are like, capability of like Sonus Faber, Electa Amateurs, or something like this, right? Where you're going to pay 3,000. You'll notice a higher level of refinement, whatever that word means. But JBL 530s are, for example, far more refined than Klipsch RP600Ms, which are a terrific speaker, but they're a rock speaker and they're not very refined. So the 530s will do you if you want refined quality, enough refinement, but they sound big and bold and dynamic. It's crazy how big the JBL 530s sound as main speakers for your room. I don't have a subwoofer, and I still don't feel like I want to go get a subwoofer, which is crazy, from 5.25-inch two-ways. That's because they go comfortably down to 40 hertz, clean bass, at middle, medium, high volume levels. Obviously, you can't crank them up and rock out at a party. That's not what they're for. But my system is for medium to medium high volume levels, and this is one of the areas where the A88T, the tube amplifier, and this is my first tube amplifier. It shocks me. I'm shocked at two things. Characteristically, how it sounds different than the Denon 4308. And again, please understand, and I got the Denon AVR 4308 from my brother. Many of you guys out there, like Andrew Robinson, he's always talking about how his main unit was his Marantz AV receiver. I mean, look, guys, if you have a really high quality AV, and I don't mean a cheap AV receiver, this is the top of the line Denon 10 years ago. If you have a really 140 watts per channel, into stereo 170 watts per channel, but not rated into 4 ohms. And this is very important, as I'm about to tell you. What I learned, what I found out, I was freaked out. Look, my system sounded amazing before. So I was running the AVR 4308 into the Amari turntable, which comes with its own preamplifier, which is a separate unit. And the quality, I compared it to others, the quality is superb, just superb. My turntable, even with the 1895, sounded every bit as good as the CD player. Okay, and then when I upgraded to the Nagaoka MP110, wow, me and my friend who also upgraded at the same time, both were like, the difference difference is night and day. The clarity and separation and detail through the Nagaoka MP110 is remarkable. For the money, I should say. The MP110 is even better when that cartridge needle stylus is worn out 2-3 years later. You can upgrade this, they share the same body, the MP110, the MP150, and the MP200. The only difference is the stylus. So when my MP110 stylus is worn down 2-3 years later, I'll replace it with an I'll go ahead and spend the money and replace it with an MP200. Why not? The stylus alone, I think, is going to be just like a couple $100, but fine, because it's a $200 purchase. You know, it's a long time purchase. It'll last 3 years. So, with the system hooked up to the Denon AV receiver, listen, man, I told my brother, I got that receiver from my brother. Now I want to sell it, and I'm here in China. If you know anybody in China who wants it, let me know. System sounded great. Absolutely sounded great. You know, just wall of sound, separation, clear, distinct instruments and voices in the soundstage, even height, high or low, depth to the rear, to the front, through the room. I mean, just a superb sounding audio system. No doubt about it. So, you know, I think 80% of that is your speakers. You love your speakers. You got high quality speakers. It's 80%. Just have good amplification, good source. You're done. Relax. If you don't have any money, don't worry about it. Well, I've had a great couple of years, and we've been very blessed. And I always wanted a tube amplifier, more as a nostalgic thing to honor my dad. Because when I was a kid, my dad had a console with an old Fisher. I don't know what it was. He had a Fisher console, and it was a tube amplifier, and this was back in the late 60s, early 70s, and we got rid of it. Ever since then, I always wanted to get the tube amplifier like my dad. So that brings me to the A88T. This is a superb unit. This is not just any old tube amplifier. Is it the very best? No, those cost $5,000, $10,000, even $15,000. I don't want to mention Prima Luna, which is expensive. I need you to know more expensive, but Prima Luna is made by Cayin, Spark, China. That's their OEM. Cayin, and then the other Chinese brand is Line Magnetic, which is what they make quite more expensive tube amplifiers. You'll find tube amplifiers from Line Magnetic for $3,000, $5,000 and more. This unit, when it came out 10, 12 years ago, retailed for $1,800. I saw it somewhere else listed for over $2,000. I need you to understand this. I live in China 22 years, and I'm telling you that as Chinese products go, Cayin is regarded as the very best. They are, you know, pick an American brand that's known to be superbly made, or a Japanese brand, or a German brand, and that's what Cayin is in China. So amongst Chinese, they know that if they're buying Cayin, they're buying superb quality, and the cost is high. So you can buy another brand is Yaqin, Y-A-Q-I-N. Nothing wrong with it. The M300B series, I think. For $500, $700, you can buy a really nice Yaqin tube amplifier. You might find some inconsistencies in build quality at that below $1,000. Then there's the other ones guys have been reviewing online, like with the Wilsonton. I saw some reviews indicating the Raysong is the piece of junk. I don't know. So, I don't know. But I can only tell you this. If anyone tries to tell you that Cayin is... One guy said that, oh, Cayin is made with cheap parts. This is complete and utter nonsense. Within the country of China, and our country is bigger than your country, there's a lot of consumers here. You have to understand, this is the biggest country in the world now. Our middle class is 3 times the size of the United States middle class. People are out buying things. Chinese are smart, educated consumers in the online world. So Chinese know The Cayin is superb audio equipment. They're very well known. If you go to the Z Reviews website, that guy is very entertaining. He reviews a lot of Cayin's DACs, these little DACs. They cost like $1,500 for a Cayin N3 DAC or something like that. I mean, these is superb quality equipment. So that's the first thing you need to know about Cayin. I could have bought a Music, uh, what is it, M7, XM7, or Musishare MXKXM7 or something like that. It's just not the same. I could have bought a Yachin, $500, $800. You know, 4KT88s will get you 40 watts a channel into what's it called? Yeah, ultralinear mode, the standard mode. 4KT88s will get you 40, 45 watts channel. 4 EL34s, power output's a little lower. But that's all you need to know. This has got 4KT88s. All right. So, okay, that's main point number one. Cayin is superb, and it is priced accordingly for $1,800, $2,000 category. Again, Six Moons reviewed it, and the guy was just like, "I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. This is the best amplifier I've ever heard. I don't need to hear another one. This checks all the boxes." So that's the first thing you need to know. Now, the reference model is about another $400 or so. And again, there's some improvements to the transformer. I don't know exactly, I don't remember. But quality parts throughout. Like many tube amplifiers, point-to-point, hand-wired, no computer boards. I mean, this is really the analog dream, right? The analog experience. And again, the Genelex Gold Lion KT88s. So I'm done. So the amplifier that I purchased was over well over $2,000. My local dealer in Guangzhou gave me a several $100 discount. Thanks very much to him. So that's how much this superb quality amplifier costs. The A88T, is it similar to the CS88? Thomas over at Thomas & Stereo and some other reviewers have been reviewing the Cayin CS series, CS50, 88, CS100, etc. So the A88T comes in the line of the A50, the A70, the A88, and then the A100 or the A150. Okay, it's just a matter of how many tubes and how much power. They're all in that same category. The CS series, I assume the internal topography is similar. The CS series has a USB or DAC connector in the back or something like that. I don't know. I can't say that I know that the CS88 is identical to internally sound-wise as the A88. I don't know. I haven't compared them directly side by side. I don't care. I'm not concerned about it. I just know that I bought what is definitely a top 90th percentile and not an expensive amplifier. And it didn't disappoint me from the moment I plugged it in. Didn't disappoint me at all. Supposedly, these amplifiers need some break-in time. Okay, if you say so, all right. I'll accept the idea that my amplifier is going to sound even better 100 hours later than it does now, but I'm telling you right out of the box, and a tube amplifier, you turn it on within about, again, you're supposed to wait to let the tubes warm up and all that, but after 30 seconds delay, the safety on switch, it's ready to go, you turn it on. Okay. So let's get to a couple of other details about the unit itself, and then we'll talk about how it sounds. A complaint about the original A88Ts was that you had to do the biasing, you had to take the cover off the bottom and go in there and bias. That's been eliminated. That problem is gone. Let me show you again. They've now added the biasing on top. You see the meter. You just push this little switch and you can see the meter goes right to the middle. And so these are all biased right to the middle of the line of the meter. You can go right here to adjust if you need to. No, there's just no need to. Right? So the adjusting is now external on the biasing, which is something you know can check. I can check it on the fly anytime I want. It's just no big deal. So the biasing problem is gone. It's convenient for any concerns. Because yes, you can tube roll, which is not something I plan on doing anytime soon, but I will eventually. Um, the second feature was it defaults to ultralinear mode and defaults to CD when you turn it on. It no longer does that. It now defaults to where it was previous when you shut it off. So if you like to leave it defaulted to your turntable, line 1, line 2, I have my turntable on line 2. If you like to default it to that, then it comes on. And also triode mode, set mode. If that's where you leave it, when you turn it back on, that's where it comes. You don't have to change it again. These are minor little points. So now let me get to how this baby sounds. It sounds amazing. It sounds fantastic. It sounds different. It's everything I wanted and hoped and dreamed it would be, and I'm going to own this for a long time, and it's the last tube amplifier I ever care to own, and I'm incredibly happy. And that being said, my Denon AV receiver sounded terrific too, but different. So don't think that anything is going to, you know, terrific. Terrific is terrific, and most of it is how good your speakers are, right? As long as you have good amplification. So the two main things that sound different, actually three things I have to tell you. Number one, to listen to this amplifier in standard ultralinear mode, where it's putting out the full 45 watts per channel, I'm amazed at how full it sounds. I have to use the word warm, but I don't mean warm. I don't mean warm, because warm implies muddy in the vocals. It doesn't sound warm. The word isn't warm. In my mind, the word is full. It sounds so full and dynamic. So anything that previously resembles the fake idea that something sounds better because of the V shape where that mid-range gets sucked out, if that's what your idea of clean is, by the way, I have a little hoarse throat, sorry, then you'll understand the difference right away, because this thing sounds full across the board, across the entire frequency spectrum. But the amazing thing about how full it sounds, and this is the second thing that shocks me, I can't believe how full it sounds at low volume. I said to my brother, I don't turn up the volume anymore. At medium volume, I used to listen to music at medium. I'm listening to the music at medium high volume. Now I'm listening to it at medium volume, and at medium volume, I can hear everything, and it sounds so full, all the way from the bottom bass, all the way up to the highest crystal clean highs, which is the next point about it sounding full. When I say full, I mean complete. The highs are as crystal clear and separated as I could ever imagine any amplifier could produce. There's no rolling off of highs at all. Crystal clean, comparing all of my reference records and CDs, acoustic guitar, cymbals, bells, pure, open, crystalline clarity coming from this amplifier. So, but full through the mid bands, full through the mid range, full. That's description number one. Description number two. It is true, when I switch it to triode mode, everything kind of smooths out. Now, the watts drops in half to 20 per channel. I'm shocked because I still have this full sound. These are JBL 530 speakers. These are not efficient. They need a lot of power. They're only 86 dB sensitivity. To think that you could drive them with a 20 watt per channel ultralinear pentode mode set amp, you say, oh, no, 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 it's not enough power. I've discovered it's completely wrong. My Denon was putting out 170 watts per channel, okay, into these speakers. I have no reduction in the amount of bass that I hear, okay. If anything, I think I hear a bit of fullness in the bass, a bit thicker. I will say a bit thicker. But then that leads me to which is amazing, even in set mode, in pentode mode. Okay, so this is, and I find that when you're listening to jazz music, music with more delineation of sound rather than like rock or hip hop, I just can't believe how clear it sounds. I can't tell you, I can't get over how clear it sounds. It just boggles my mind. Which leads me to the third and final point, and we're done with this video. And that is that this amplifier controls the woofers. I guess it's called damping factor. This boggles my mind. Before, when these speakers were hooked up to the Denon, and this again, this is an expensive AV receiver. When I would turn it up and then turn it up too loud, the woofers would take a crap. The woofers would extend too far and lose it and start and make noise. Okay, you know, they were breaking up. The woofers were being pushed too far. Okay, so I was like, okay, well, I can understand that. They're only 5 1/4 inch woofers, and I'm trying to make it too loud, and I accepted it as a limit of the speakers. I was completely wrong. This is what's shocking me. This A88T, even though it sounds so loud and fully dynamic across the entire range, no reduction of bass level at all. A slightly fuller bass than before. But, and all across the midband and all across the highs, a full sound that is so full and so complete and so out in the room that I actually turn the volume down. This shocks me. And no matter how hard I turn it up, no matter how high I turn it up, all the way up, and make it super loud, the woofers remain under control. That's the third thing. I'm shocked. I'm like, I don't understand. I turn it up, and right when I got to that point before, the woofers would start to break up, and they don't break up. And I turn it up louder, and the woofers don't break up. So I believe there's something, that this is this compatibility and what's called damping factor and ohms and impedance and this and that, because these speakers are 6 ohms. And I have them hooked into the 4 ohm taps on the back. I haven't yet even tried to install them into the 8 ohm taps. This amplifier sounds as good as everything I've just spent the last half hour telling you, and somehow magically controls the woofers, which, when you think about the fact that the woofers are small, how important that is. So for all these reasons, I'm thrilled to death about my A88T, and continue to be thrilled about my Amari LP10 MK turntable with the Nagaoka MP110 cartridge. That's an amazing source material turntable and cartridge to plug into this magnificent A88T. The other thing is, later on, I'm going to get a new CD player, which will have its own volume control, and then I can plug the CD player directly into the pre-in jack, bypass the preamp, and go directly into the power amp, because this comes with a pre-in jack, so you can use this as a power amp as well, which again is simply superb. I'm going to stop there. Thanks very much, everyone. This is my talk about, Mr. Ma's China Adventures is about the amazing stories and products of China, and Cayin is certainly one of those amazing, superb quality stories, along with the Amari LP10 MK turntable. I love speaking to you about Audiophile. I'm a jazz pianist. I played in a concert New Year's weekend just a few days ago. Love music. Love you guys. Thanks a lot for listening, and please do share this video and subscribe. we'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye bye. And Happy New Year 2022.